Hey, so I know you all drive yourselves a little nuts wondering what is going on inside the flat earthers' heads. Well, today we find out. Hey everyone, so for those of you who are brave enough, we're going to get into the psychology of people who adhere to conspiracy theories, and I hope to understand our flat earth friends a little better, or not, I don't know. But I'm going to do it in two parts. Today, cognitive biases and a few other tidbits, and next time I'm going to take a look at personality traits, and I'm really excited about that one because it's going to confirm a lot of the suspicions you guys already have around the type of people who are part of the flat earth community. So yeah, keep a lookout for that one. I'm genuinely excited about that one. Today's still good, but yeah. First I'm just going to, cover a few basics and then we'll get into the biases. So something that people have that's all in common who are into conspiracy theories is they feel a lack of control over their own lives, and they compensate for this by looking for reasons why there is control over their life, even if that control is not a positive one. So they actually feel better if they feel like they and them is in control because their own lives feel out of control. The next thing I just wanted to quickly cover is around the difference between a conspiracy theory and someone who is delusional. Okay, so conspiracy theories are all about they are out to get us. And the key word there is us. Now, someone who is suffering delusions, which could indicate that they are quite unwell and need some help, is when they start talking about it's me focused. So a delusion would sound more like they are watching me, they are out to get me, versus a conspiracy theory is they are out to get us. It's about the group. So I'll just quickly show you a clip of someone who is deluded, basically. This is someone who feels like they're being gang stalked, which is very different to conspiracy theories. And of course they can overlap. You can have someone who's feeling both of these things, a delusion and believes in conspiracy theories, but they can be separate too. So I'll just play that for you now.
Right, guess what's that? I'll show you what it is. Look at that. A drone right there. You see that? It's actually pointing the camera at me. Look at this. They're not on radar. They're not on radar. They've shut it off. You can see that there, circling the house.
So one topic I wanted to cover with people who adhere to conspiracy theories is how they see patterns without acknowledging that it may be a coincidence or just something that just happened and not put meaning on it. So they tend to look at events and things they see and place a meaning on it. Now, as human beings, we're all tuned to look for patterns in the things that are going on around us, but conspiracy theorists do place added meaning on them and probably actively seek them out. The most extreme version of this that I could find is, of course, the guys that think they are seeing giants and faces in rock formations. So here's an example of that little gem. So another bias that is huge in the conspiracy community is the proportionality bias. And this is when we assume a major explanation must explain a major event. So it's a really easy one for all of us to jump to, and it's a good idea to watch yourself and try and catch yourself on this one. I'm not saying you're going to become a conspiracy theorist if you don't catch yourself, but I think we've all done it from time to time. And a perfect example is Princess Diana.
It's not just what you've done for us that makes us love you so, it's all the joy of who you are, the friend we've come to know.
Buckingham Palace was where the people found unity.
The world wept for the loss of a British treasure, a charity activist and mother, in this tragic accident.
1 year on, and detectives are still investigating how this crash happened.
But experts, journalists and those close to the princess believe that Diana's death was no accident. Instead, they say it was a cold assassination by British intelligence.
Okay, so next I want to talk about the intentionality bias, which is a bias that we all hold as well, but the conspiracy theorists have a bad case of it. So I'll just play you a clip of the experiment that was done in the 1940s to first figure out this bias. And then we'll get on with what it's all about. Okay, so when you were watching that clip, did you apply any meaning to what was going on there? So most people will. People who won't apply meaning to this are often on the autism spectrum, and there is also a degree to which people will apply meaning to the cartoon. So on one end we have people who will apply no meaning to it. In the middle we will have people who will think, like, apply some characteristics to what's going on and have a little bit of a story about what's happening. On the extreme end where we will find the conspiracy theorists. They will take it to a higher level, and their imagination will run wild. So it's a good little example of the intentionality bias. Kids are big on the intentionality bias too, so they apply purpose to another person sneezing. They'll think the person did that deliberately. Drunk people also love this bias, so don't bump into anyone in a bar if they're really drunk, because they will probably think you did it on purpose. Yeah, so that's the intentionality bias. And if you think about conspiracy theories, they see an intent behind all of them. Things don't just happen by accident. And that's kind of feeding off what I was saying about seeing patterns as well. So yeah, that's the intentionality bias. So of course, another major bias in the conspiracy community is confirmation bias. Now this is one that we're all prone to. We all do it. I can guarantee that you hang out with people who support your beliefs as much as possible. You have a social media echo chamber. And I myself, I have 2 YouTube accounts to separate out the flat earth from the normal YouTube, so I don't have to see it when I don't want to. That is confirmation bias. I'm not trying to say that we're all going to turn into conspiracy nuts overnight just because we all have a little bit of confirmation bias in us, but it is worth remembering that we do it. So research into conspiracy and confirmation bias showed something interesting. There were 2 groups of people. One group were conspiracy believers and the other group were conspiracy non-believers. They were given information that was ambiguous about the JFK assassination. You would think that after they were given this information, they would become less sure of what they believed, but the opposite actually occurred. The people who were conspiracy believers became more sure it was conspiracy, and the people who didn't believe it was a conspiracy became more sure of that. And that highlights how conspiracy bias affects us all. But of course, flat earthers have a special case of confirmation bias because they go to extra special efforts to ignore information that refutes their position, and they go to extra special effort to look for the evidence that supports it. So that's confirmation bias. And it's also worth mentioning that there has been conspiracies in the past that have turned out to be true. One, of course, is Watergate. Another one is the CIA and LSD. I myself was quite surprised when that one came to light. So if you are a conspiracy denier, it is worth making a mental note that when a conspiracy claim comes your way, you might want to just check if it's plausible or not. Flat Earth, of course, is not plausible, and that's why it is one of the most ridiculous ones out there. But, you know, there is a possibility that one will come by that is plausible.
Sheldon, you're wrong. Wolverine was not born with bone claws.
Howard, you know me to be a very smart man. Don't you think if I were wrong, I'd know it?
Okay, first of all...
Give it up, dude. You're arguing with a crazy person.
I'm not crazy. My mother had me tested.
Another bias that is quite strong with the conspiracy and flat earth community is a bias blindness. This is the bias of thinking that you don't have any biases. Now, most people in the scientific community know that we are all prone to having these biases, and we also know that the scientific method is quite good at erasing them. That's why it's there, that's why we need it. But flat earthers think that they have their skeptical thinking and their logical reasoning at A1 operating condition. So yeah, that's a big one with them. They think that there's no possibility that they could be wrong. And there's another term for that, and that's called belief perseverance, and that basically means you are a stubborn asshole. And on that stubborn asshole note, I will remind you about my episode coming in the next few days on personality traits that are common in the conspiracy community, and I'll catch you all soon. Have a great day. Bye.